everyone. I hope you had already some good coffee or whatever you like for the morning. I'm going to present you a journey, our journey towards Kubernetes, or at least my view of this journey. And I'm pretty sure all of you more or less know the Deutsche Bahn, but I would already ask on the audience, how many of you have traveled to this conference with the Deutsche Bahn? Please raise your hands. Oh, that's really cool to see. And now comes the really tricky question. How many of you had a punctual train on your travel? 3, 4? Okay. So we all know the challenges that we are facing. And this is also the interesting part. Already someone was asking me before, how come you have Kubernetes in Deutsche Bahn, but you are still running late with the trains? Yeah, I will tell you a bit about this journey and also what is in front of us still to do. So I hope my mouse works as a pointer. And yeah, perfect. So this journey will start with a short prologue. Then I will go into the chapter of Cloudification on the Deutsche Bahn, followed by the transformation, and then we come into the Wild West. Then going to the end, how we got order out of chaos from this Wild West, and yeah, the epilogue to close by. So on this short story, that should go forward, I will start to tell something about me. I am an environmental engineer as a training, was working with complex systems and researching and economics. And I kind of tried to save the world for 2 decades, more or less, and then I gave up, was pretty unsuccessful. Parallel to it, I was also having a small hosting provider where I started to engage with container technologies in 2014, around 2014, and a lot of open source, of course, Linux. And I joined the Systel, then I changed my branch from world savior to IT. And as a DevOps engineer, but soon I become also product owner, and my focus, even if it doesn't look that it matches to one and the other, is I've actually been building platforms since the university times, trying to bring people together, to communicate, to have common ground, and to develop on it. And since I joined the Systel in 2018, I'm probably not even the most appropriate person to talk about this journey. On the other hand, I have no feelings about it, so I can be really rough on it also and say my vision. So yes, I also like surf, tango, and rock and roll, and yes. So about the Deutsche Bahn, well, a lot of you travel by train, but it does also a lot of other things. So it operates in every segment of the transport market, on logistics, on cargo, all these containers going, not the containers, computer containers, but the containers. Also the physical ones, the big ones. And the Systel, where I come from, is actually the Deutsche Bahn digital partner. So if there's someone behind enabling the digitalization of the Deutsche Bahn, then most probably there will be someone from the Systel also involved on it. And here are some facts and figures. I will not go into detail into it. You can read it online if you are interested. So I will jump to the really interesting parts. And the first one is the chapter on cloudification. So this was the first step moving towards something different. And how we sold our data centers. So the Deutsche Bahn decided in 2014, in 2016, we don't want any data centers, we want to move to the cloud. And when I actually joined the Deutsche Bahn in 2018, I was asking, how can they just move to the cloud? I mean, the Deutsche Bahn is big enough to have their own data centers. I was always very much into this do-it-yourself IT, open source, and having ownership over your hardware and your infrastructure. And I was kind of shocked when they say, oh, we just go on AWS and Azure. And then I thought, well, I tried to understand why they do this. And, well, this is my own interpretation of the narrative. But what you see here, I mean, there's a lot of people, this is a public company, people have a good and stable job, which is actually something that I really support. And, but you get accustomed, and you have really genius people But at some point, you are doing your projects, you are really into IT in your basement or in your ceiling, making your own projects, and they bring less business value because the Deutsche Bahn is not an IT company that is creating new IT innovation in the field. I mean, there is IT innovation, but not on the server level, not on the data centers. The innovation needs to be using the digitalization to create good stuff for our customers so that the trains, for example, run on time. So I think this was the first thing, was to say, okay, we have a lot of people that have been working for many years, and we have these very slow processes, and let's just get rid of our infrastructure and move to the cloud. So there's, for a start, already a very big change. And the cloud is providing us, of course, with dynamic infrastructure that allows to move forward. So there was this project, Shape IT, which wanted to move hundreds of applications to the cloud. And actually, which is very uncommon by the Deutsche Bahn, it arrived before time. So they planned that they would end in 2022, and in 2020, all the targets for the migration to the cloud were achieved. So all applications in the cloud, a very strong move. So the question is, how was this possible? And then we go into the transformation. The transformation that we took in the DB Systel as a digital partner to change the work culture and get closer to the people and to our partners. So our partners, you know, the Deutsche Bahn has this around a few hundred companies, I don't even know the number. And we are basically, with the DB Systel, most of our business is providing with them with solutions and enabling them. So you can think, I have a small video for you that will play immediately, but I think this a bit like the, you know, this scene from Asterix and Obelix, how it was before. I mean, I was not there, as I told you, but I can imagine before I want to run an application, I want to develop an application. It's like the Passierschein A36, the permit A36 that they need to get, and they run here and there into department A and B and get someone to sign, and then the boss is on holiday, so you need to wait 2 weeks, and then a few months after, maybe you have the first POC done, and when the technology already evolved to something else. So there was a lot of customer insatisfaction and so on, and I see more or less like this, how it was working.
Whoa, that's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are 2 people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, there's nothing else left to do, is it?
Hello? Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second.
He said he can fix it. All right. All right. That's more like it. He says he can fix it.
So I think you understand the point I wanted to make. So, and the need for the transition towards a flexible and agile network organization. So we wanted to become a network of decentralized, self-organized people that are actually able to interact with each other. And yeah, you know the power of self-organization. For me, this was very interesting as someone studying complex systems and how they also organize. And this is our network organization. So we have basically teams of, nowadays, we instead of having the traditional hierarchies and sectors. So you have teams, and these teams can be organized also. You have also the INIT, also the unit around it, and the clusters teams, but they interact, they are not hierarchically situated, so it's more like a type of organization. Then you have meeting points, like circles, where things are commonly defined. So in a way, so that we are not, of course, building also with the teams, then again, further silos, but actually enabling for the dynamics to flow. And the good thing is, of course, that we assign the management tasks to different roles. So while we have product owner, agility master, which is a kind of our conception of a scrum master, plus some more you have some more responsibilities, and the team that is actually operating, so engineers and so on that are making the stuff. But all of these are sharing responsibilities. So there's not one that says, yeah, you go there and you please sign and you take all the responsibility. But every one of us has responsibilities and needs to do this management part. So we moved from this classical company in 2014, and in 2020. We achieved this agile transformation. Well, achieved is always a bit a difficult word, because if you don't end the transformation, so it always continues a self-organizing body, so it will always continue to evolve, hopefully. And but let's say from an organizational perspective, from a process perspective, this was closed. And now, of course, with the self-organization, there are some aspects that came to it. And I say the Wild West. So we have we started with a good container platform. Well, we thought it was a good container platform and everyone would come and use it because Kubernetes is great. And we bought Openshift. And there was actually a lot of people jumping into it and using it. And we thought everyone would use it at some point, but this did not happen. You know, we have self-organization and then we have a technology jungle. You probably know this picture from the CNCF ecosystem, how many technologies there are around. And then imagine all these teams each says, oh, I have a better idea. I will build it with this and this and this component. Then one has the AWS services here and there and makes his own architecture. And then we are again in the same place where our engineers, which you know how many good DevOps engineers are very abundant out there now, so are, instead of, again, focusing on the business, just if each one building his own solutions, having a lot of cognitive overhead that multiplies over each isolated solution. So no standards, everyone builds his own thing, and everyone builds it again and again and again. So it kind of ends up like this, you know, because in the end, maybe you have two good DevOps engineers in the team, then one leaves because our field is very dynamic. People look for opportunities everywhere where there's fun. And I end up, terraforming my own and decorating my own island. So the quality of the solutions is sometimes not enough. And so that came with the idea, okay, let's also build platforms and have a value-oriented IT. So the platforms, the digital platforms as the cornerstones for a successful digitalization of the Deutsche Bahn. Because it's not only about the Systel making and having developers that develop the applications for the Deutsche Bahn. We actually need that the whole Deutsche Bahn, these 300,000 employees, that they all can be part of building the solutions for our customers, because only then we can achieve the speed. And for this, we need platforms that simplify while keeping very high quality and scalability and whatever you find, for example, that you take from the cloud and build together, but that you are really able to allow these people and enable these people to create solutions for our customers. So we have this platform strategy, still people are not using the platforms. And so we need to ask again why. Of course, many are already using, there are really some successful cases, but we have mostly, we have a lot of tools. So there's a lot of tools that we made for developer experience here and there. You have GitLab, you have Artifactory for image repositories, you have test automation tools, you have observability tools, but they are tools. Actually, a good software engineers have been focusing mostly, of course, on building products, and we build all these products, but most often, and this was already, the colleague from Audi was already talking about this yesterday, most things is about people. So you need to put people in the first place. 80% of being successful and of allowing people to really bring the people is to think, what do the people need and what do they want? So how do we bring this order out of chaos? And here I come to the top point, Kubernetes beyond containers orchestration for bring a next generation developer experience platform. And some of what I will say is work in progress. Some we have, some we'll maybe have at some point. The first point that I think is very important is to build an ecosystem around the platform. We must not build a platform for other users, but we actually want to bring the users, the experts, to build their own platform. Rely as much as possible on open source and CNCF projects so that we also can engage not only internal with the communities, but outside also with other communities. And make everything inner source. So anything we make in our platforms is at least inner source, and whenever we can, when there's no own logic or secrets or whatever, we also contribute we engage with the open source community and contribute to it back. And we have, for example, very successful with the DevOps community which has over 3,000 people engaging. There are events like Think Camps and where anyone can take part, and so there's a lot of exchange happening there. And this ecosystem is, for me, like the first cornerstone for it. The second is to agree on basic rules and single points of contact. One of them, make everything as code. Git is the source of truth for infrastructure and applications. Pushing the GitOps model. And have a platform portal as an entry point for teams. So you want to come together on a place to start discuss with others, to share your knowledge, to share whatever you've done, because you think what you do is also great. Everyone thinks what he does. I hope that you think what you do is great. So you want also to share with your colleagues. You want to make it visible and interact with the others. And then use an open and extensible technological stack. Here I really got into the, I'm very happy that we have found crossplane. Probably you have heard some of the talks here about crossplane. The idea is simplify, focus on one technology, and move faster with less innovation tokens. And we rely on existing building blocks. So we will use the Kubernetes API, and we will extend beyond it, because Kubernetes API is the most extensible and universal API that was ever created. And I believe our challenge, when we want to bring our trains on time, is that we bring more and more people to just use the Kubernetes API and not reinvent the wheel everywhere else. Because this allows us, for example, to focus on defining application. So maybe some of you saw with Crossplane, you can have this pizza provider, and you can order a pizza by just writing a piece of YAML, and then the pizza comes to you, because it can't communicate with some API that exists out there. But I just wrote some YAML on and then I will have it delivered on my office. And you can think of this, extend this to anything you can think. And the interesting thing about this, because it is simple, it allows for cooperation. It allows for people to come together, to put their brains together, how we deal with this or that challenge. And then create a marketplace. This was also what Apple did. So I'm not interested actually in creating the software. I'm interested in creating a platform where people can also sell their software, their ideas. And so here on the picture is Backstage. Probably you know this from Spotify's Backstage. That is now a CNCF project as well. And the service catalog behind it, which allows you to, let's say, place your product. And if you want to sell it, you can also probably do something around this. So to end, there's some cool stuff ahead. Some key findings that we have from this talk is, well, with cloudification, we got dynamic infrastructure. The transformation created the agility and cultural changes in the organization that we needed to really enable people. And building successful platforms is more than just putting together some tools. We need these organizational and social processes so that we are able to strive as ecosystems. And finally, here, my technological love for Kubernetes, it's the unified API. And we can use this unified API to build business logic and cooperate on abstracting the technical details, so that teams are not concerned about how do I address compliance. You can imagine how many compliance regulations are in a company like the Deutsche Bahn, because of course there's also people's lives that are at stake. So you need to have a lot of security, and it's not just like going with a small startup and doing something on the public cloud and using public IP. You need to integrate everything. And if each team needs to do this every time, imagine we would not innovate at all. So getting the cloud services, we rely on the cloud service. As I said, we have a double cloud strategy with AWS and Azure currently. And these platform servers allow for the integrations, for the logic and compliance, and they are open. So developers can contribute to it, but they don't need to. The most developers would just interact with the APIs, with the abstractions that other colleagues already created, with the logic that was defined there, so that they really can focus on delivering value to our customers. And if maybe this talk attracted you, I would invite you to come and provision anything your creativity allows via the Kubernetes API. Let's make trains run by making a Git commit and allowing your GitOps operator, Flux or Argo, to pull the changes and the new media content into the ICE portal, whatever you can think of. And yeah, of course, a bit of publicity. If you are interested, I can say one of the most interesting things in the DB Systel, besides being a very stable provider, is you have 42 days of holidays. And you can travel first class in the trains. So if you like train traveling like me, we, of course, like anyone else, are looking for good DevOps engineers. And thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them.
Thank you. We have questions.
Very good.
Yes, and this is the first session for the day where we really have planned time for your questions. So please pull out your phones, and in case you haven't, vote for the questions you think are most interesting to you. Is Kubernetes running on ICE?
That's really I would say my big for 3 years. I said I want to bring Kubernetes to ICEs. It's still not successful, I must say, but there are some POCs. There are some attempts. There are some to bring on ICs, to bring on regional trains. So I think very soon some Kubernetes will be running on ICs. I hope, at least, yes.
Did you face any resistance in your move to self-organized team? And what with employees that don't want to go with this big cultural change?
I luckily was not, let's say, actively involved in pushing forward this transformation. I did notice there were, of course, people that were saying, yeah, it's, again, another structural change. This comes every 5 years or so. You have a change, and then something changed, and in the end, it's always the same. So, yes, there was, of course, resistance. In the end, there was also a lot of effort put into making people understand that they have further opportunities. So they do end up, my impression is most people enjoy this transformation and came clear with it. And of course, there will always be people that say before it was the same or was better, but in the end, you have a lot of more interaction in the company. Teams are not anymore this where you have in your field and you don't interact with your colleagues. So yeah, it's sometimes, let's say, if you are used to just do your job all the day the same, maybe some people did not enjoy this. I remember there was an office where there was these people there, and they said, no, we don't do the transformation because it doesn't bring us anything.
I love that people just say, like, no, we don't do it. Okay, is that an option?
They can also do. Well, the structure changes, then the organizational structure changes, and probably they will just work like they did before. At some point, the project stops to exist, and then they need to find a new project. And yeah, so you cannot be aside from the transformation when all the organization is transforming. So at some point, you will be taken with it. And yeah, there's always changes. Not everyone likes changes. Many people don't like it. But in the end, I think the workers are quite. I think from colleagues that most of them like this, enjoy this.
I see that you vote on the question. Thank you for that. I really like it. Are you still using Openshift?
Yes, we are still using Openshift. So we have shared clusters, especially for shared clusters, because Openshift is, let's say, is providing a nice interface. So you pay for it, but you have a complete solution. So you don't need to care about all those, how you get multi-tenants, how you get security, how you get a nice UI. So these things are given. You have some operators that are supported there, and so we have Openshift as kind of our entry-level platform, and we are more and more then building further automation, which allows you to roll out your own EKS or AKS clusters without, again, as a platform, not needing to care about all the details, but you just get your cluster for yourself. And we offer then both solutions at the time.
Mm-hmm. Which parts of the transformation were faster than expected? If there were any?
It's a good question. I did not look at the at the key objectives for the transformation, what was defined. So I don't think I can really answer this question. On my, as I said, one of the what was together is for example for the migration to the cloud. There was this the transformation. The teams did change so much in creating new projects and becoming part of users of these new, for example, DevOps teams and so on. So there was, in this sense, I think there was a lot of transformation that was moving very fast. Others, I don't know. I don't know which. I mean, I cannot measure it. Yeah.
No. There's a very current question: how did the transformation help to adapt IT to the €9 ticket, and which parts were crucial?
Also a difficult question, but this is a very interesting question.
We have a clever cloud. They ask good questions.
One, of course, that is very important is we have with the transformation you are very close to the customers. So if you have teams that are directly and when there is a request coming, for example, from a DB Regio or something like this that says we have this requirement, could you implement this? So we don't go again through all these structures, but you have the team directly deciding with your partner how to implement this requirement. The team itself, if it has if it has a good infrastructure and so on, can also react very quickly on its software development, and it doesn't need to go into Abstimmung, into interaction with others before it already deploys, so develops. So if I say change the prices, and the partner, DB Regio, comes and please to this team of 7 to 9 people and say, make that the prices are changed on the portals, this team will implement it and not go through different layers. So I think in this sense, it makes the Deutsche Bahn very quickly, much more quickly to react to any societal requirements that come, or business requirements.
Mm-hmm. Are your infrastructure costs now higher than before?
I have no figures on this. Probably they are higher because there's the digital infrastructure is anyway growing a lot. So probably they are higher in the sense that there's more, but I have no figures on these costs.
How much of the production workloads run on Kubernetes at Deutsche Bahn?
On percentage, I don't know, but I can. And it's very hard. Well, it's you have all these teams, so I can say on our platforms, directly on our platforms, we have about 200 applications productively running, and there's also a few other big projects running Kubernetes. So yeah, several hundreds, I would say.
Okay.
Without being more specific.
Could you name some example which open source projects you contribute to as Deutsche Bahn?
Yes, there was, well, we are now contributing to Crossplane, for example. We had the first contributions. We started with Crossplane this year, and there are already some contributions to it. We had in the past contributions to Openshift, and yes, so these are a few examples. Prometheus also, yeah.
Which platform portal do you use?
Which platform portal? At the moment, we are still evaluating. So one of the big candidates is Backstage.
Do you still accept to implement solutions by different teams multiple times to be faster?
Solutions by different teams multiple times to be faster. Well, the teams are, let's say, the teams, they do have their own ability to decide if they want to use something or not. So teams can have multiple, define their own solutions. We, of course, try to push forward, let's say, to motivate by that they have the will to come together in the platforms, but they are able to do their own solution. So if they say it is a better architecture decision for me to go this way, then they should go. So they have this architecture, we have these architecture circles and so on that make best practices. And they say, please try to follow this. If you don't follow it, then write your own ADR, architecture decision record, and document why you do this otherwise. So yeah, there's no enforcing, and if they think they are faster another way, they just should do it. And hopefully they contribute it back again.
Any plans to replace Openshift, for example, Kubernetes KKP?
It's probably a question from the people of Kubernetes.
Maybe.
So
I suspect.
Yeah, yeah, we have had talks. We don't have plans, and if we had plans, I could not disclose them. But we are of course always evaluating what are the best technologies that serve that fit our purposes.
How you handle databases in Kubernetes?
There's people using databases in Kubernetes, but the best practice that we actually recommend, as we are, as a company, very strong with a strategy to rely on cloud providers, is at the moment that to use directly the service provided by the cloud providers. So we use, for example, that in AWS context, you have the pod.im webhooks. So it allows you the pods to assume roles, and so you can then connect, for example, to an RDS database. But there's people also using databases, also on Kubernetes. There's also the crunchy operator, for example, that allows you to have a high availability Postgres. We have also customers that are very happy with it. So each team decides for is there's no, let's say, enforced way to do this.
For the platform portal, is that Backstage, or did you evaluate it?
We are still evaluating. We have no decision. This will probably come next year. Yeah, but we did some tests with Backstage. It looks nice. I think it's for me personally, it's the most interesting candidate. But I'm not deciding this. I'm just a product owner. One of my colleagues is there. You will be one of the deciders probably. And yeah, let's see what comes.
We have only 1 minute left,
Yep.
so there are still questions coming in. I'm not sure if we managed to get through all of them. So are you still here after the talk?
I'm still after the talk. I also have some, I don't know, some
We do 1 or 2 questions, and then you can run for him if he wasn't
just
able
go,
to answer you.
You can also reach me. I mean, no, they are not there anymore. They are just here. But you find me on LinkedIn and on Twitter.
I think we can put them back up after the slides. Yes. How do you ensure data consistency across all the legacy systems running in the background?
Yeah, this is a question. I mean, I cannot answer this because it's very project specific. So each project will have its own strategy and how they deal with data. I think it's a very technical question that I cannot answer for the hundreds of projects of the Deutsche Bahn.
I think the next question is interesting. Is there a way IT support customers by proactively creating requests for the Fahrgastrechte when a train is late?
Yes, there are a lot of ways. I mean, you have applications. There's also this, I know there's, for example, an application for giving directly feedback, and I think this is a customer-facing application. It's not. I mean, I'm more like the basement person building platforms, so I don't have this direct contact with the applications. But I hope the colleagues that are building applications on our platforms are making a nice feedback application, whatever you need for. I personally think the DB Navigator. I don't know what is your opinion on this, but I personally find it. Pretty good, because you really have. I come from Portugal, no? I actually feel a bit at home with this with these olive trees, but it's yeah. So yeah, I hope. I mean, the DB Navigator tells you in real time when a train is late and tells you the next connections. And for me, I was always fascinated what this DB Navigator does. And in the last year, it has evolved so much. And personally, I find it a very good application. But if you have more ideas, you can come and help to build them.
Last question, because I think it's a yes or no. Does DB Navigator run on Kubernetes?
Not yet.
Not yet. Perfect. Thank you so much, Gualter.